Hey everybody, this is Dark Side Elite here, and I wanted to give another rant about um, the the crucifixion of Robin, um, and how pissed off I am at DC for really um, shelving this character, and now we don't get very much of him. Now I have looked around a little bit, and he has done some animation, but they he hasn't been in that big of the movies and the animated movies. And I feel that's a very, very, very bad thing they did. Now they're talking about death of the family, no, death in the family story arc, and I hope that the last portion of that movie it shows the introduction of Tim Drake. If it shows the introduction of Tim Drake, I will applaud that movie and I will buy that movie hands down, because again, this is how we got introduced to Tim Drake, and it was the death of Jason Todd. And what really upsets me is that not many people make a big pungent point about this. They're more inclined to want to about Damian Wayne, because who cares, and Damian Wayne is his Robin, it's his new Robin, and that's his son. Yes, I'm not arguing with you about that. I'm not. But if you really think about it logically, yes, Damian Wayne is his son, but is he going to be that close to Damian than he is to Dick Grayson? No. Is he going to be that close like he is to Jason Todd? No. Is he going to be like that towards Tim Drake? No. Yes, that is his blood child. That is a living Wayne in front of him. That is the next generation of Waynes. That I'm not disputing that. What I'm disputing is that you're gonna overstep his son. You're gonna overstep a child that basically helped Bruce become a hero again. Open his heart again, because he was stoned off. He wasn't caring about what Alfred said. He almost went toe to toe against Superman at one point. He almost said screw it. He was gonna go kill the Joker, and then this boy shows up and says, "You can't do this. You can't. You can't destroy your legacy like this." And this boy got into his heart and literally made Bruce realize he's gonna become the very thing that he swore to never become, and his mother and father would be ashamed of it, and it rocked him. And then he decides to train this kid and make him a better hero than he ever thought possible. And and it almost makes a tear to my eye, because Dick Grayson lost his family almost in the same vein as Bruce did. Jason did not know his family, so he was a street urchin. Tim had a mom and dad. His mother died, and his dad was in jail. And his dad finally got out of jail. And Jack, I believe his father was in jail, but Jack was back in Tim's life, and he found out that Tim was working with Batman, and he found out that he was Robin, but he didn't know who the heck Batman was because Tim made sure of it. And Bruce told him, I believe he told him, tell your dad the truth. He doesn't want friction between him and his father. He goes, but that's not my secret to tell. He goes, I know it isn't, but I'm giving you the option that if it will help you and him be able to mend fences, then tell him the truth. Tell him I'm Batman. And Tim was like, wow, like he's giving him that trust. He's giving him that trust to have his father realize that this is for a bigger goal, and that Batman would never allow anything to happen to a Robin again. He wouldn't. He got himself so mentally prepared and ready that he would always make sure that Tim would never get in harm's way. But Tim made sure that he wouldn't get in harm's way because he used his brain. And it really irks me that people don't know that, or they choose to be ignorant over it. And that's fine. If you don't want to read into the whole story, that's perfectly fine. But you got to understand the psychology of these characters. Bruce just lost Jason. You really think that he's going to bring another kid into the mix, and he knows that his family's a lot, that he has parents, that he's going to put that much of a weight on him? No, he's not. He's going to make sure that that Tim Drake is going to be well prepared, well taken care for. But Tim surprised him. He was capable of taking care of his own self and be just as great as a strategist and a tactician as Bruce is, which impressed Bruce way beyond his means. He didn't think that Tim would adopt that easily into becoming a hero and live up to that legacy. Nightwing was surprised about it. He thought that Tim was gonna basically be he was gonna basically he thought that Tim was going to be another him. Like he's going to try to rule Tim's life and this and this and this. Tim told him, "I'm going to do exactly what Batman tells me because I know that he's going to make sure that I'm safe. But I'm also going to make sure that I'm capable enough to be by his side." That's what Robin's role is. And he defined the Robin role. His role is to make sure that Batman doesn't go over the deep end, that Batman has a semblance of his humanity. Yes, Bruce has Alfred, but Alfred's not out there with him 24/7 going against these criminals. Bruce has to think on his feet and figure out what he has to do to take down these criminals. But having Robin next to him, Robin is literally a bird on the shoulder. He's that bird on the shoulder that makes Bruce know that he cannot go over that edge again. And that's why I put so much emphasis on Tim Drake more than I put on anybody else, because Dick Grayson, in all retrospects, is almost in the same vein as Bruce. The only thing that makes Dick Grayson different is the fact that he's a showman. He has to be the center of the room. He has to be the one that keeps everyone their eyes on him, and he does everything he can by telling jokes, cracking jokes at harsh times. He's very flamboyant. And I don't mean in a more of a homosexual way, but he's just there, and he has a bright personality. That's what makes Dick Grayson Dick Grayson. That's why everybody loves Dick Grayson. He is the most well-respected person in the superhero community. If anything ever happened to Dick Grayson, the superhero community would fall. I'm not mean that they would fall in dismay, but what I mean is that everybody would feel hardship, because Dick Grayson he was one of the first, and I mean this, he was the first sidekick superhero. Everybody watched this boy grow into a man. So, and the same goes for Jason. Jason put a mark on the superhero community, but Tim Drake shocked the superhero community, because they're like, okay, well, I mean, he's good and all, but they didn't realize that Bruce relied on Tim as much as Tim relied on Bruce. That this boy was capable of being just as great as a hero as Bruce is. And he's just as capable, just as smart, and has the mental acuity to be quite possibly the Batman without the stain of darkness that because of what happened to his parents. Now, again, I'm not saying that Damian's a terrible character. I'm not saying that Richard Grayson's a terrible character. I'm not saying that Jason Todd's a terrible character. They're all great characters because they were built in certain ages of comics that makes them have a legacy that makes sense, and it works. Damian Wayne is the extension of Bruce Wayne's mortality. That's the reason why he was created. That's why they created his character. He is going to become one day Batman. And he believes that's his legacy, but that cannot be his legacy. He has to figure out his own destiny. That's the whole point of the Super Sons book. That when the moment we met Damian Wayne, what was the first thing out of his mouth? My name is Damian Wayne, and you're all in my house. Or he was talking about that he's going to be Batman. I don't know why you guys are even worrying about it. It's like, what? Tim never talked about anything about being Robin. And neither did Dick Grayson. They all believe that Bruce would die in that suit. He would be Batman until he's old and gray, or he cannot be put on the suit anymore. And when he goes, the suit goes with him. That no one else could pick up the suit. And then we got the difference that happened before Batman Incorporated, when the whole battle for the cowl happened. So all I'm personally saying is that people need to look at Tim Drake with a little bit better eye, because he's a phenomenal character. He's a great character and deserves a lot of respect, and no one gives him any respect. DC barely gives him any love. They show him in the cartoon side, but they don't show him in the animated side. They barely did. They showed him in the Batman Ninja, which I personally didn't like the movie, but that's okay. They kind of did him a little bit in the Batman Gaslight by Gotham. He was one of the street urchins that was with Richard and Jason, and there was Tim, and that was a little call out. So I mean, he's there. I mean, he's there, but he's not there as Robin. And I really wish that if they ever did do Nightfall, I don't want Damian Wayne there. I don't. I want people to see Tim Drake. I think that Tim Drake deserves to have a lot more credibility out there. But I understand from a business standpoint, who's Robin right now? Damian Wayne. It's not Tim Drake. It's Damian Wayne. Now, if this was happening about 10, 15 years ago, yes, you're going to see Tim Drake wearing the suit. He would be Robin or Red Robin. But if you're going to do Nightfall, and let's say you're going to do Damian Wayne as his Robin, then where the heck is Tim Drake? Why isn't Tim Drake as Red Robin? I'll be perfectly fine with him being Red Robin. Just give him some level of love, so people will see how great of a character he is. No one knows about Tim Drake. They only say, "Oh yeah, well I remember from the Batman the Animated Series." That's not Tim Drake. That was more Jason Todd than Tim Drake. That wasn't Tim Drake. Tim Drake is not a street urchin. He's not. He never was. He came from a very credible family. His dad was I believe his dad was a blue collar worker. He comes from an upstanding family. It just fell on very hard times. So I don't understand. I personally don't understand how people can say, well, can try to throw in this nugget and say that Damian's a better character. And I go, no, he's not. He's a good character, but he's not a better character than Tim Drake. He doesn't have no legacy. He hasn't been around during the most darkest days of Batman's stories. Tim Drake has. Tim Drake, when Tim Drake died, now let's go to two things here. Let's go to two things. One, when Damian Wayne died, Bruce Wayne broke. He did the 7 stages of grief. 7 stages of death. Okay, and he went after Darkseid and completely almost destroyed Darkseid in his Hellbat suit. Yes, he did. Okay, I understand that. I completely understand that. Because that's his son. And he wanted his son back. It makes sense. But Batman lashing out, that's nothing new. We've always seen Batman lash out. We saw him lash out when Dick Grayson got his head blown out. And Dick Grayson was in the hospital. What did he do? He went after people and tried to find out who the hell did it. And he beat the crap out of everybody. That's what he did. Okay? That's him lashing out. He's lashing out. But what happened when Tim Drake died? Go back to that comic. If you go back to the comic where Tim Drake sacrificed himself to blow up all those drones that was going to come down on Gotham and blow that city sky high, and Batman couldn't stop it, Batwoman couldn't stop it, the new Bat family could not stop it. Tim Drake took over the controls and took the controls himself and made them come after him. And Batman was like, whoa, no. He told Tim, no, don't do this. I can do it. He goes, no. He goes, and he told him. And it brought a tear to my eye. He says that, he goes, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be something more than what I am. And I will never forget it. And he died. Do you understand what Bruce did? Bruce didn't lash out. Bruce didn't scream. He didn't start tearing apart all the criminals in Gotham looking for the person that can bring Tim back. No, do you know what Bruce did? He went home and he cried. He broke down. Yes. Bruce Wayne, Batman. He lashed out when Damian Wayne died. He almost completely killed Darkseid. He lashed out when Dick Grayson got his head knocked in. When he got his head blown off. He went after KGBs and completely killed him. He killed him. He left him in the snow to die with a broken neck. Said, nah, figure it out yourself. Left him there. But Tim Drake, he went home. He sat in his chair, his father's chair, and he basically stared. He stared into the fire and completely mourned. That tells you something. That tells you how much Tim Drake meant to him. And I don't care. Everybody says, "Oh, he should have went." No, he didn't do that because he knew how. Because they wanted to show how much Tim Drake meant to him, and also the fact that Tim Drake left him a note to tell him that once this is over, he's gonna give up the game. He's gonna give up this. He's gonna give up the life. He's gonna go and live. He's gonna spend the rest of his days with Stephanie Brown, and he's gonna. But he thanks him. He thanks him for everything he's ever given to him, and he hopes that he hasn't disappointed him. That's the word right there. He didn't disappoint him by leaving, and Bruce broke down. When in hell you've ever seen Bruce Wayne break down? The only time you've ever seen this man break down is something about his mother and his father. I'm silent right now because that speaks volumes of how close he is with Tim Drake. Now I could be wrong. He could have did different things with both Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne. And hell, the biggest one of all. What happened when he went out? What happened to Jason Todd? When Jason Todd when Jason Todd died, what did he do? He lashed out. He was going to go kill the Joker. He almost tried to take down Superman. He was angry. He didn't care. He was going to go take him down. He's going to go kill him. But Tim Drake, he sits in his chair and he basically breaks down. He cries. He cries. And it shows right there that how much that boy meant to him. Okay, sorry about that. Now, um, yeah, I'm still silent about that because it just shows how how much people don't realize how much Tim Drake means to Bruce Wayne, and I want people to know about that. I want them to see this character how I see the character. He's not goofy. He isn't. He's a pretty serious kid, and he grew up with Bruce, and Bruce taught him everything he possibly knew. No, and on top of that, he picked up a lot of other things that Bruce didn't teach him. Bruce didn't really teach him. He taught him the basics of detective skills and criminology. Tim went further than that. He actually mastered criminology and forensic sciences to the point where even Bruce was astounded on how well this kid was able to figure out a crime scene before Bruce was able to, on the same level that Bruce could. Bruce could look at a scene and get a pinpoint of what actually happened. Tim Drake could do almost the same thing. In a battle, he's able to figure out how to be able to take down people because he can't physically take people down. So he says, okay, we'll have to figure out how to do it this way. So I don't, I'm not saying that all these other characters are bad. I'm just saying that there was weaknesses that Tim Drake had that basically he covered up because of his intellect. He's very, 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 very smart. And Damien could beat him in a battle. That has been proven. He can beat him in a battle. But if Tim was prepared and he knew how to, and he had a figure, and if he was prepared and came with, I'm gonna take down Damian Wayne, he could take him down. He can take him down. Damian Wayne was trained by the greatest teachers in the League of Assassins. Well, I just told you who the heck trained Tim Drake, and let's go back to that. Let's see. We're gonna do New Earth. Let's see. Let's go all the way down here. Okay, it says martial arts. Tim Drake has trained under Batman for years before training with Young Justice and Teen Titans further. Now, with Young Justice, he actually helped Bart and Connor Kent. He trained those two to be able to use their abilities a little bit better. That tells you something. Okay, Teen Titans, same thing. They look to Tim as much as anybody else, and this is coming from Starfire, Cyborg, Raven, and no, Cyborg, Raven, and Starfire, who are not even teens anymore. They're adults at this time, and they still look to him. So that tells you something. Now, he could keep up a conversation while taking down multiple well-armed enemies. That is something that Bruce has been able to teach him. Like, he could be able to talk while he's basically fighting people off because he's that skilled. He fought trained ninjas and assassins as well as mercenaries. Now, if you go back and read the older Red Robin books before Batman Incorporated, no, before Final Crisis, you come to find out that he went toe to toe with the League of Assassins, trained ninjas to Ra's al Ghul himself, and highly trained mercenaries. He was able to get past almost all of them. And then on top of it, he fought against Ra's al Ghul and almost stalemated Ra's al Ghul, even though Ra's was basically playing with him. So that should tell you something, okay? His teachers also include Henry Ducard. Now, Henry Ducard is a highly trained mercenary in the older universe, and also he was the guy who trained Bruce long ago how to basically be a criminologist. So he's a great hand-to-hand fighter himself. And Lady Shiva, who is regarded as the greatest hand-to-hand fighter in all of DC. The greatest. The only other person that's close to her is the Karate Kid. I'm sorry, go look him up. The guy can mimic any fighting style he sees. Anything. If you beat him down with a martial art, he'll pick it up and figure out how to do it, and he'll beat you down with it. He has defeated Jason Todd and said he has more training and said he has more training than him. Yes, he defeated Jason Todd. He's defeated him in hand-to-hand combat. That should tell you something. He's also stalemated and got the upper hand on Dick Grayson in combat. That should tell you something too. And to stalemate Dick Grayson in combat, that's a massive feat. Now, this is New Earth. Now, we're going to go to, let's see, we got to go to Prime Earth because that's the, okay, let's see. Okay, so basically Tim has been trained by Batman, Nightwing, Batgirl, Lady Shiva, and assorted others, a wide assorted of martial art disciplines, which include, but not limited to, Kung Fu, Aikido, Jeet Kune Do, Eskrima, Krav Maga, Taekwondo, Judo, Wing Chun, Hapkido, Karate, Savate, Kendo, Ninjutsu, Tai Chi, and Leopard Kung Fu, and Biangan. Now, you're wondering what the hell? A lot of these are stick fighting techniques. Eskrima is a stick fighting technique. Biangan is a stick fighting. I believe that's a stick fighting technique. Let me look that one up. I just want to make sure here. Don't want to give any bad information. Yep, it's a stick fighting technique. It's a Wing Chun kung fu uh, stick fighting technique, and Eskrima, I believe, yes, that's a short stick technique. That's the same type of technique that Dick Grayson uses. That's why he used the Eskrima sticks. Okay. Savate, that's a very, very dangerous technique. Yeah, it's Savate boxing. It's basically a French foot fighting. It's a French kickboxing style. So he knows how to use stick fighting on top of using his feet and his legs. So that means that his legs are extraordinarily powerful. So if he kicks you with them, you're done. You're done. Okay? He knows Tai Chi, which actually able for him to, in a way, if you really think how Tai Chi works, it actually balances the ebb and flow of of energy. So he can utilize his fighting style to unbalance other people. And especially with the stick fighting technique, he can use it. Um, Wing Chun is the basis of almost all these styles of kung fu, of Jeet Kune Do, and I mean, if he knows Taekwondo, he knows Savate kickboxing, and Kendo style. Yep, Hapkido. Um, there's a lot here. I mean, he is not a he's honestly not a pushover when it comes to fighting. However, however, he he's he hasn't been given a lot of credence, and it just shows that they want to try to push that Dick Grayson is the greatest fighter. Yeah, I'm not saying that Tim Drake is better than Dick. He's not, but you got to also show that yeah, there's a lot more to other characters, and I mean that Dick Grayson is a natural gifted athlete. That's the only thing. He's a naturally gifted athlete. Bruce is just pure, unadulterated skill, power, and just raw. He's raw, and it's beautiful. That's why he's dangerous. Um, and also, it says his abilities with the bow staff gives him an extra edge in fighting. He's gifted. He has gifted abilities with a bow staff. He's also been considered the most skilled hero in all the DC universe with his preferred weapon of choice, although there's another combatant who's truly more skilled with their weapon of choice in all the DC universe. It makes sense. So basically, he's people think that Dick Grayson is the one that used the staff. He's not. It was actually Tim Drake. Tim Drake is the one that was the first Robin to use a bow staff. He used the bow staff when he was training with Bruce because he couldn't physically beat down people with his fists. He couldn't physically take down people, so he had to use a weapon. So he chose a bow staff because it was actually a weapon that can actually give him longevity. I'm not longevity, but longevity against other people. So he was actually can hit people from a good mid distance, and he can keep them away from him, so he could be able to get away from the situation if need be, like any bow staff user. Although he has not mastered near as many fighting styles as his mentors, which is understandable, he has managed to use the training given to be considered a highly skilled combatant. So basically, if you really think about it, he hasn't mastered these styles like Batman, Nightwing, Batgirl, Lady Shiva. He even trained with Deathstroke because Deathstroke was part of the new Teen Titans at one point, and basically Deathstroke trained him. So it's one of those things that you got to realize that Tim Drake's not a pushover, and for people to say that, oh yeah, he doesn't matter or anything like that, that makes no sense. So I'm gonna leave it here. Um, I just wanted to do this video because I think people should know about this character. I think they should have some love for this character and literally look at this character and go, hey, you know what? It's understandable. Um, but hey, I mean, I hope they do a little bit more with him. And I do. I hope they do a lot more with him. And they give um, more. I just want more. And Damian Wayne is still going to be Robin. He's going to be Robin for maybe another few more years before they make him do something else. I'm not saying. I think it's time that Tim Drake should get some level of love in the DCU, and there is a lot you could do with him. So I'm gonna leave it there. Like, comment, share, subscribe down below. Tell me what you guys think. What do you think of Robin? I mean, of Robin. Who do you like out of your favorite Robins? I know that a lot of people are gonna say Damian Wayne. Give your reasons why. Why? Who's your least favorite Robin and why? Um, no, there is no such thing as a wrong answer. It's just educated versus uneducated, and I mean that, and I mean that. It's not about that people are wrong. It's just the fact that some people only have this level of education with the characters without understanding that this character has more experience, or he has more legacy that should be respected too. So and I have a lot of respect for the Damian Wayne character. I know that there's a lot more with him than him being the broody Robin, and I think that there could be a lot more with him. That if I get my hands on the character, I would actually give him a lot more to do with more to do, and a lot more to do with about family. Because in my honest opinion, I haven't really read that much of the Batman comics, but I don't think that they give him a lot about family. Like literally, how do you think his father would feel if he didn't have Dick Grayson or Jason Todd or Tim Drake in his life? Where would his life be? Where would his life be? And I think that Damien would get a real rude awakening if he never met any of these other guys in his life, in Bruce's life. That his father would be a lot worse. Honestly, I think that Damien would never be born. He wouldn't have been born if it wasn't for the trials and tribulations that he went through with all these other Robins. I don't think that he never would have went with Talia. I think he would have been so off from her, and he probably would have killed her father outright and just got rid of her too. So who knows? But that's my opinion. What is yours? What do you think? All right, you guys have a great night. Bye.